Good afternoon, friends and family. We're back. This is the second time we're giving it a try today. We're getting so many interruptions, it's hard for us to get it done. So we're going to give it a shot again. So hang in there. We're going to move right along.
Did you ever notice how no matter how carefully you plan for something, something goes wrong? Well, we apologize for the earlier interruption, and we are determined we're going to have our wonderful quick little visit with you today. And we're talking about summertime. And summertime, we have this sudden realization that we are halfway through summer already. We only have 2 months and 2 weeks until we close. That is unbelievable. But here we are. Okay, so what do you want to talk about summer?
I want to talk about, I hope nobody else knocks on the door this summer. Okay.
No, lots of people knock on the door this summer, just not for the next half hour.
We're doing our best, but it just goes to show life never changes. I mean, we've always been this way. There's always coming and going in our life. You never know what's going to happen. But summertime for us depends on when you're talking about. But summertime was the time we always look forward to. And now that we have a campground, we're still looking forward to summertime because that's when we see all of our friends come back.
It's just that everything's flipped. Except instead of being summer we're off, summer we're on, winter we're off. We're always a little off, you know. But anyway, so what was I going to, I had a thought and it escaped me. I hate it when that happens. Well, we want to look back at what summer was like when we were kids. So we're looking back like 60 years or so. And what do you remember about summertime?
Well, depends on when you talk about, but I don't have many memories before we were at Lake Besic in Middlefield. That's where we lived, in a little log cabin. And all my really happy, I think, times happened at Lake Besic. My best friend was there, and I only had one. You didn't have to have a whole club full of friends. You had one, and you had a real good one.
She was mean. You'll hear about that later.
I wasn't really mean.
Bubbles, not you.
Oh, my friend. I was never mean. Bubbles, on the other hand, not so good sometimes. But it was always a great place to live. I mean, living by a lake when you're a kid. Went swimming every day. Well, every day that you could. And got into trouble the rest of the time.
Well, and we lived in a lake community. The lake is called Besic Lake, but our community was called Lake Besic. And everybody had to have a little tag that you pinned on with a safety pin to prove you belonged there. And you would get X number of tags with a few extra for guests. Do you remember that?
Absolutely. You had to have it. We never took it off our bathing suit. I think we wore the bathing suits off. We wore them out with the tags still on them.
That's right. That's right. And then we'd take them off and get dressed and hang them on the clothesline. And
you could reach it.
Well, my mom would hang it on the clothesline.
If she wasn't there, though, there was a nice little stoop you could stand on, so it made you tall enough to hang it up. She was very courteous in that respect.
It made some people tall enough.
But, yeah. But I was tall enough. She may not have been, but I was tall enough. But I was always in a rush. Take the bathing suit off, and I didn't want to bother taking the time to put it on the line. I was going to wear it the next day anyway. So I would just throw it on the cement blocks. Not a good thing to do. Not good at all. Because when you're in a rush the next day, you go, it's a little damp. You can get the bathing suit on. And it was a cute little two-piecer.
Rainbow ruffle.
Yeah, I didn't have a rainbow ruffle, but it was a cute little thing. And there was this great big daddy long leg spider in my bathing suit. I couldn't get it off quick enough. I didn't care if I was outside. Didn't make any difference. I was on the stoop. The bathing suit was on the ground. I never wore it again. But I did rescue my tag, or I think I made somebody else rescue it.
Well, that's a good thing. Do you remember when Uncle Andy would come down, our uncle, my mom's brother, would just show up? He and I never waited for an invite or anything. He'd come down and he would come in to knock on the door, and my mom would say, oh, how are you? And he goes, I was wondering if everybody wanted to go to Misquamicut today. And we would pack up a lunch.
A real beach.
Real beach with real big waves. And we would play in those waves all day.
Clean sand. was nice.
Back then it was. I don't know what it's like these days, but
beach
back
wasn't
then it
great.
was. The only thing was, Nisquamica was the beach where we would sit on the edge and we'd let the waves crash into us and fall over and come back laughing and laughing. And then when it was time to go home, we'd get up and go walking to the car, and we'd have like a lump of sand in our bathing suit that looked kind of like we had an accident in our pants. It's just sand, but oh my God.
That didn't feel good.
We were sandy all the way down. Well, it wasn't just the beach and the water that we had fun with. We made a lot of our own fun. You remember we were talking about toys and how our toys didn't necessarily have batteries or anything like that. Valerie's going to show you one of a very simple toy that we got so much joy out of.
What?
The Gatorade bottle.
They didn't have Gatorade.
They had bottles, soda bottles. They probably weren't even plastic then. But we would fill a bottle with water and make water snakes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We lived on the slightest little slant on our road. So we would go out, and there wasn't much traffic, so it was safe. It was perfectly safe. So we would stand by the side of the road, and we would turn our bottle. You have to turn it just right. Now, you got to really know what you're doing. So we just tip our bottle up, and a snake of water would run down the road. We amused ourselves for hours.
And you try to get a really long one, so you have to do the water just right, because the heat in the tar would just dry that snake right up. So you want to see who's going to have the longest snake when they finish playing that game.
So, you know when kids say, I'm bored? Oh no, we didn't deal with boredom. We had a lot of things to do.
You had to be careful too, because they didn't have plastic bottles like this.
That's right, if you broke it,
bottle,
it was glass.
A milk bottle or a soda bottle was glass.
Things were different then. You know what else we didn't have? We didn't have air conditioning.
And we do in here.
We do in here, but we did not have it. So if you want to know what it was like for us, go and turn off your air conditioner and then see what it feels like in an hour or two or overnight on a hot, muggy night. But we had a remedy for that. We would sleep on our screen porch. We had a screen porch in the front of the house, and it had like these little benchy things on it, and we'd bring down some blankets and pillows and lay them down on the couchy things and sleep there, and at least we would get an occasional breeze.
Yeah. It was nice. You could hear the night sounds and everything.
Yes.
We didn't have a lot of traffic on our street. It was a more or less of a side street, so you really didn't have motorcycles or any of that stuff going up and down the road, so it was pleasant.
That was really nice. That was when we were in New Britain. Going back to the lake, I think because it was at the lake that it was, I don't remember it ever being that hot.
It was cooler.
Yeah.
It was a little warmer in my bed because I had a top bunk. It got
She
warm up there
got
sometimes.
everything the best. Top bunk, best color jackets and hats, and
I was born first, number one. That means number one.
Anyway, number one day made an amazing find. And it was this.
Oh, yeah. Did you ever go in the woods and on the stick you see this wad of brown something on this?
Looks like a bubble, kind of.
And it was very interesting looking, and it kind of looked almost papery like a wasp nest, but it wasn't. So of course I had to have it. So I broke the stick off and I brought it home and I said, what is this? And they said it was from a praying mantis. It's a praying mantis nest. Cocoon, that's right. And if you keep it through till the right time of the year, baby praying mantises would come out. And I knew praying mantises were good for your garden and everything, so I thought, how bad could this be? I wanted to bring it in the house, but my parents said, not a good idea, they'll die in the house over the winter time. So we had a nice glass jar, and I put it in the glass jar with some grass and stuff like that, in case they woke up and had to eat. And put it out on the stoop where I used to put my bathing suit. And the sun will keep it a little bit warmer. And I'm trying to remember exactly when this happened, but the spring came, and I think the sun was shining on the stoop a little bit stronger. And guess what happened? Praying mantises hatched. Do you know how many praying mantises there are in one of those little things? Not 2 or 3 or 5. There's tons of them.
They were
Hundreds of them.
all over.
Little teeny green, little teeny things, and they were just hopping and bopping all over the place. I couldn't even stand it. It was like, what do you do with a bunch of praying mantises?
They were
Run.
freaky. These little.
But I loved them anyway.
Couldn't get rid of that praying mantis. But she has the thing with insects. Now we used to have every year down at the beach. We had Flag Day. It was on June 14th, and so we were having Flag Day, and you either had a friend or somehow I think it was Diane. It was either Diane or Bubbles, and we were playing around. And of course, she's my older sister. I always wanted to impress her. And back then, I had a bottle of Pal-Aid. Now, Pal-Aid is like orange soda without the bubbles. And I had on my little rainbow ruffle bathing suit. And I decided I was going to show them how amazing I was and that I could chug that entire bottle of Pal-Aid. And I did. And about 15 seconds after I got it down, it decided to come back up real quick. And I had to run over
Rainbow and orange Pal-Aid and who knows what.
But that's okay because...
Praying mantises.
And not much later that day, she unfortunately stepped on a mud wasp nest.
Yeah, that was not a good experience. We went to it. They used to have movies at the clubhouse during the week. You know, anybody could go. It was a kind of a fun evening, and it would end early and everything. Well, out in front of the building, they had a marquee kind of a thing with legs that were buried in the ground and stuff like that. And they let you know what the movie was going to be and when they're going to play bingo and all that other stuff. And we were all hanging around outside because it was a little hot to be inside at that time. They hadn't started playing. And don't you know, right in where they buried those sign legs for the signpost, there was a mud wasp built a nest in there. And I was wearing my little shorts and my sandals and stuff, and I stepped right in that wasp nest. They came flying up my body and around my head and in every bit of clothing I had on. I never ran so fast in my life. Ran all the way home. It was like a block and a half. It was on a hill and it was in the country, and you know, it was like, it seemed like forever to get home. And they were so bad that when I came flying in the house screaming, my poor father was white as a sheet. And of course, he started brushing them off.
Them
because
all
they were
over her.
hanging on me and on each other, and there were just wads of them. My poor father was trying to get them off, and he got all stung up too. So they made a sink in the kitchen. They had the kitchen sink, and they filled it full of ice and water, and they put me in it to get the hornets off and get the stinging gone and everything. What a wicked experience. The interesting thing is, I don't remember any discomfort after it was over. I think I probably was in shock or something, but it was a terrible, terrible experience. I don't know why I'm not allergic to hornets, or maybe I just haven't gotten stung.
Maybe she got immune to him from
Being really
being
careful.
stung. Yeah, that was really, really
No,
bad.
not a good thing to happen in your childhood.
Just watching it was traumatic for me, you know?
She couldn't keep up running, and I was going to leave her behind because I knew I was headed home.
Let the bees have her if I can outrun her. I never thought about that until now, you nasty sister. Well, I was thinking when you were talking about, you said that, everybody knows everybody and everything, and I think that is something that we are so missing, such a great opportunity that we don't have community like we used to. A lot of people don't even know their neighbors. You can smell what they're cooking for dinner, but you don't know who they are. And I think we've talked about it in previous videos. We knew all of our different neighbors, even all the way on the other side of the lake. Why? Because you'd go to the Grange Hall and have spaghetti suppers, and our dad was a volunteer firefighter, Our mom was what she would call, and I totally agree with, a gets into.
And she was.
That means she gets into all kinds of stuff. And she would be directing little plays and shows and all this other stuff. But that feeling that everybody knows everybody. And I think it was it Nancy Reagan that said it takes a village to raise a child? It was one of our first ladies. It takes a village, she wrote a book. It takes a village to raise a child. And it does. And I think it takes a lot of people to grow a community. You know? And I hope we get back to that a little bit. It's kind of one of the things I like being at the campground, because this is a weekend community. They come in, they go knocking on the door when you're trying to do a video.
You'd love them. They're great people.
They are great people. We're so lucky. Now, another wonderful no batteries required and actually very inexpensive thing that we did in the summertime was put on our over-the-shoe roller skates. And they were metal, and they had little clips on the side, so you would slide your foot, sandals. Now, when Val said sandals earlier, they were not flip-flops. We had actual sandals with straps and everything. Yeah. Or shoes, so you put your shoes on, and these roller skates clipped onto the shoes, and you had a roller skate key. And the roller skate key, you just tweak, 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 and tighten it up, and you would go off down the road.
Oh, it was horrible. And the sand, the gritty sand, and the metal wheels, and it was a lot of fun.
It wasn't the skating that wasn't fun. It was the falling down that wasn't fun.
No, that wasn't
all that sandy, gritty, and stuff, you know. And then you have to get your wounds cleaned out with peroxide. And first the peroxide, and then the mercurochrome. Mercurochrome, orange stuff that burns like hell. And that was how we took. None of this Neosporin. Oh, it's a gentle cream. Oh no! Put on that orange stuff.
You just pour it right on. It'll get better, or it'll kill you. One or the other.
Speaking of orange stuff, tell them about our suntan lotion from back in the day.
My mother was very progressive, and I mean, she was in on the latest trends, whether it came to food or clothes or whatever. Okay, if she couldn't buy it or she couldn't afford it, she'd make it. You know, and Mom was like that. So the latest thing that one summer, and we were still at Hammonasset, so we could really take advantage of this. It was a suntan lotion, and don't you know it was made? You get a bottle of baby oil, Johnson & Johnson's baby oil, and you put iodine in it. Made it orange, you could shake it up, and there was these little orange bubbles floating in there, and you would slather that stuff on you. It would feel nice because it was baby lotion, and you'd brown up like crazy. You'd fry. I mean, you got oil on you. It's like being in a pan of fat. I mean, you just laid there on the beach and you just cooked yourself right up. Not a smart thing to do. Mom would get so cooked, so burnt, she would peel for days. You know, well, once she got healed up a little, she would peel for days.
Would you believe someone else is coming to the door?
We should just
and
cut
we
off.
Can't stop it. So before we cut it off, I just wanted to tell you that after my mom would get all burned and toasted, and then she'd start to peel, Valerie and I'd have contests to see who could peel off the biggest. We'd have contests to see who could peel off the biggest piece of skin. Isn't that gross? Well, business calls. I can't believe it. I thought we were good to go today, but we'll have to catch you next time with lots of other adventures. Bye-bye.